I have a surprise for you. My wife Vanessa whispered in my ear from behind. Vanessa said to hold this, so tell me about Jen. I told you not another word. You will be a good boy and sit quietly while I talk to Robert. I couldn't believe it. The crazy thing was that I had bad fantasies about Dear, I was stunned, unable to fully comprehend what had happened. Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story. Vanessa, who, before I could finish my sentence, Vanessa grabbed me and squeezed me hard. I almost fainted. I told you not another word. You will be a good boy and sit quietly while I talk to Robert. He's my friend from the gym, and we're going to get to know each other. Vanessa grabbed me again. If you behave, I won't have to push you and your car too hard. I couldn't believe it. The crazy thing was that I had bad fantasies about deer. But how did Vanessa know about this for this game? Did I forget to clear my search history? Vanessa took Robert's hand and led him to the other side of the room. They started talking. I had never imagined my fantasies being realized in real life, let alone that it was happening like this, but I was more tense than ever. Soon, Vanessa and Robert were talking animatedly. I was immediately embarrassed. Robert's car was much better than mine. Vanessa said, "Look at this, man. He hasn't even tuned it yet, and he already has a better car than you." Vanessa started stroking it. "Let's make it so we can see how much more like a man's car it is." Robert stood up quickly. "Well," Vanessa said, "Robert must be almost twice your size." I watched as my wife stroked her hand. Her wedding ring sparkled. I just wished my hands weren't tied. Since she was holding Robert facing me, when he was ready, he threw it at me. I had never felt that before. It was better than I expected. Looking down at all this going on was so humiliating, but I couldn't help it. Vanessa laughed. "At least for the first time in your life, you're going to know what it's like to feel real male power." Robert picked Vanessa up and sat her down on the bed, then said, "Remember, this is a man who takes responsibility." Robert knew exactly what he was doing. Vanessa was happy when he told her about everyday things. Then, almost without recovering, Vanessa sat down and took Robert's hand. Vanessa never took my hand. She always said it was too boring. Vanessa turned out to be just as good as Robert, although before he knew it, he was already finishing a conversation with her. Vanessa quickly came over to me, grabbed me, and pressed her lips to mine. I was still uncomfortable with what had happened earlier. I did not dare to resist. She used her mouth to pass the gum from her mouth to mine. She pulled away, took my hand, and said, "Swallow." I did so. Turning back to Robert, Vanessa ran her eyes over Robert. "He's still ready to go for another round. The same can't be said for you. You would have turned into an acorn a long time ago." Vanessa rolled over and said to Robert, "Show my husband how a man should behave." Robert moved. He had barely begun the presentation when Vanessa said, slow down. You're much better. I need time to adjust." Robert began to show more slowly. Vanessa reacted, and her hands grabbed the sheets. He had just started, and she was already satisfied. Robert slowed down and started again. He repeated this several more times until my wife stopped the show. Between deep breaths, Vanessa said, "See, he's better than you could ever dream of, touching parts you can never reach." After a few more deep breaths, she was ready and said to Robert, "It's okay, I'm used to it now." A moment later, Vanessa seemed ready to finish the presentation. "Robert, you are so good." Vanessa's voice was trembling. Then after about a minute, I almost got it. I had never seen Vanessa enjoy my presentation before. After a while, Robert increased the speed before the time ran out. It took them a minute to catch their breath. Robert was still interested. Then Vanessa said, "Okay, we have to go. I need to give something to my husband." Robert stepped away from her, and Vanessa stood up. Now Vanessa was standing in front of me. I wondered if this was going to be part of the game. Instead, she put her hand on her leg. Vanessa rubbed hand cream into my hair. This made the mixed feelings even stronger. "I will show our guest to the exit. You can wait here and think it over. We'll talk in a few minutes." Vanessa said this to me as she and Robert left. Then, taking his hand, she led him out of our bedroom. I was stunned, unable to fully comprehend what had happened. In a way, it was hot, a fantasy come true. Yes, maybe a little less pleasant than I would have liked, but I just didn't know what to feel. I looked down. What I saw was amazing, but at the same time humiliating. Looking at myself, I saw that I was much worse than the one who had just given the presentation. The hand cream was already drying on my hair. A few minutes later, Vanessa walked in. I felt defenseless, while she was completely confident. "I think we need to figure out what's next." She looked down. "In a way, I should thank you. Robert did a much better presentation than you ever did. I definitely want to see it again." Vanessa then walked over to our nightstand and checked her phone. Her face paled. "Oh, no, Miranda just texted me that she was joking. Earlier she said she found evidence that you weren't spending time with me, but now she says it was a big joke. She didn't think I would believe her. Why did you tell me about Jen if it wasn't true?" "I thought you were trying to play a role." Vanessa laughed, then shrugged. "I guess we were both wrong. Oops. Oops, after all that, oops. Come on, admit you liked it. I saw the way you looked at it. Besides, it was great. You just can't give me what others can give me with what you work with." Vanessa put her arm around me. "Did you enjoy watching Robert's presentation?" I was immediately excited. Vanessa giggled again. "That's the answer to that question. Now you're like a deer in the woods, honey. I have a surprise for you." My wife Vanessa whispered in my ear from behind. She wrapped a blindfold around my eyes and then tied it tightly. My heart beat faster. This was not like Vanessa at all. Vanessa took my hand and led me to another room. Blindfolded, it was hard to see where she was taking me. Finally, we stopped and she kissed me. Damn, it was hot. She started to undress me. I was very tense. Then Vanessa pushed something behind me and I felt something pressed against my legs like a chair. "Sit here," Vanessa told me. My wife had never been so bossy. I wasn't sure what had gotten into her, but I loved it. I felt something around my ankles and legs. Vanessa was tying me to the chair. "What are you doing, darling?" I asked. Although I was still tense, I was starting to get a little nervous. We had never done anything like this before. "SHHH," my wife replied. She took my hands and tied them to the chair as well. It sounded like she was tying me with a zipper. Of course, I could not go anywhere. Now I was absolutely subdued. I felt so vulnerable that I couldn't cover myself and couldn't see anything. Vanessa said to hold this. "So tell me about Jen." I was confused and had no idea what she was talking about or what was going on. Was this a game? I was out of my depth, but I did my best. "What would you like me to tell you about her?" My wife stroked me slowly. "Is she pretty?" Continuing to play along, I nodded yes. Vanessa stopped stroking and her grip tightened. "Did you enjoy spending time with her?" "Hell yeah," I replied. "I think I'm starting to get addicted to this game." Now Vanessa squeezed it even harder. "It was really unpleasant. You're crazy." She screamed. I felt pain all over my body as she squeezed harder, but I was tied up so well I couldn't stop her. "Oh, it hurts, my love. It's too hard." Instead of letting go, she squeezed even harder. I tried to protest, but every time I spoke, Vanessa pushed me with her other hand. "I've heard enough from you. One more word and you will be very unpleasant," she said. I decided I would just live through the experience. Vanessa was too rude, but it was still fun, and I didn't want to say anything that would make her even angrier. Later, I just explained to her that the next time our game was over, she would need to be gentler. I didn't run away, even though I had a good reason. "I gave up a good day for you, if you can even call what we do a good time. Your car never does anything for me." Vanessa clutched her hand as tightly as she could while she screamed. "Did she say car?" "I lied when I said you were average. The fact that you're a grown man with a car like that is really pathetic. Do you know that when we were first together, I told my sister that I felt like maturation had literally slipped by you? That's how bad it is. All my friends know it too. I even showed them pictures. We are laughing at you behind your back." After that, I made sure everyone in our circle of friends knew about it. It was very hard for Vanessa. I love her, but it was really too much. I was hoping it was just part of the game. I would be so ashamed if everything she had just said was true. Now, if you think it's okay for you to spend time with Jen, then I guess it's okay for me to spend time with my friend. Vanessa finally let go of me. I still felt uncomfortable. Then she took a step behind me and removed my blindfold. It took me a moment to get my bearings, but we were in our bedroom. The chair Vanessa had tied me to was next to our bed. I think now is the time to meet my new friend. Vanessa moved to our bedroom door. There was a man standing there. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.